It was tucked under my coffee mug, folded once, no name, just the words. Don't freak out. I just need space. I'll explain everything when I get back. No signature. No time frame. Just that. My wife was gone. The house was dead silent except for the dishwasher humming in the background, and the mug of coffee she made still warm. That meant she'd left maybe 10 minutes ago. 20 at most. I checked the driveway. Her car was gone. Her coat was gone. Her red weekend bag, the one she never used unless she was traveling light, was gone too. But her wedding ring? Still sitting in the ceramic tray by the sink. Next to her earrings. Next to her promises. I wanted to believe something normal, that she went to see her sister, or maybe a last-minute spa weekend with friends. But the timing was too perfect, too suspicious. Just the night before, she got quiet after reading a text. I asked who it was. She said nobody. She always says nobody when it's somebody. I sat at the kitchen table staring at that note like it was a math problem I couldn't solve. My hands were shaking. We hadn't even had a fight. No screaming. No breakdown. No sign of a relationship collapsing. That's what made it so much worse. The silence before the detonation. The kind that feels planned. I opened the drawer where we keep passports. Hers was missing. And that's when the realization hit me like a punch to the gut. She actually went. She really left. After all the warnings. After everything I said. After I begged her not to reopen that chapter of her life. Not to answer the messages from her ex. After I looked her in the eye and said, if you walk out that door for him, don't walk back in. She still did it. She must have thought I was bluffing. She must have thought I'd still be here when she returned. She didn't know that while she was packing her little red bag in secret, I was packing a whole new life without her. The note kept staring at me from the table like it wanted to be believed. Like I should be the kind of husband who reads something like that and just trusts it. Don't freak out. She actually wrote that. Like this was some normal situation. Like disappearing without a real explanation was part of a healthy marriage now. My wife, Sabrina, was a lot of things. Beautiful, complicated, unpredictable. But she was never careless. Which made this feel even worse. I paced the living room for a while, trying to convince myself it was nothing. That she'd come home that evening. That I was overreacting again like she always said I did. But I couldn't sit still. I kept playing back the last few days, looking for what I missed. And then I remembered something strange. 3 nights ago, she'd gotten a call just before midnight. She claimed it was her cousin Layla, drunk and venting about her breakup. I didn't think much of it then, but the next morning I overheard her texting someone and laughing. Except it didn't sound like cousin talk. It sounded flirtatious, intimate. Now, with her passport gone, her bag gone, her ring on the counter, I started piecing it together. My gut twisted into knots. I opened her laptop. I know. You're not supposed to go snooping. But what do you do when your wife leaves you a note that sounds like it came from someone leaving for rehab or running off with a cult? You check her damn email. Her inbox was clean. Like, suspiciously clean. No archived messages, no trash. Just receipts and a few newsletters. But I noticed something odd in her calendar. A 3-day writing retreat blocked off. Location, Cannon Beach. The same place she once told me her ex used to take her when they were madly in love and stupid. I didn't want to believe it. I begged myself not to. But then I opened her hidden photo folder. Yes, she thought renaming it Taxes 2019 would fool me. And there it was. A selfie from the previous day. She was wearing her new jacket. The one I hadn't even seen her put on yet. In the background was a suitcase, and behind her, a mirror. And reflected in that mirror, a man's jacket hanging off a chair. It wasn't mine. That was the moment my chest fully caved in. Not because I was surprised, but because I wasn't. I'd felt it. For months, actually. Something had been off. Her affection turned into politeness. Her sarcasm turned into silence. Her touch disappeared completely. I just didn't want to admit I was losing her. And now? Now I wasn't sure if I ever had her to begin with. She lied. She planned this. She just wanted me out of the way while she tiptoed down memory lane with the man who used to send her love letters and break her down piece by piece. I should have drawn the line when she started saying things like, "You're too controlling," just because I asked who she was texting at midnight. Or when she said I was jealous and insecure after I asked why she suddenly re-followed Wyatt on Instagram after 8 years. I called her once. She didn't pick up. I texted. I read the note. I hope he was worth it. A minute later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. And it wasn't her. It was the front desk of a hotel in Cannon Beach. Apparently, Sabrina Marks had left a Do Not Disturb tag up for over 24 hours. They wanted to check if everything was okay. I asked them flat out, "Is she alone?" There was silence. Then the clerk, clearly caught off guard, said, I'm not really allowed to give out guest information. Thanks. That told me everything I needed. I hung up. No more texts. No more calls. No more begging. I wasn't bluffing when I said she couldn't come back. But what she didn't know was that I'd already started erasing her from my life the moment she left the driveway. She thought I'd be here when she returned. She thought I'd cry and forgive and move on like I always did. But this time, I had no tears left. Only plans. Plans she'd never see coming. The next morning, I noticed her toothbrush was gone. Not her old travel one. Her main one. The one we kept next to mine for years, in that cracked ceramic cup on our bathroom counter. I don't know why that hit me harder than the note or the missing passport. Maybe because it meant she hadn't just left for a few days. She'd removed herself from this place, like she wasn't planning to brush her teeth here ever again. And yet, I was still here. Like an idiot, I spent the morning going back and forth between rage and denial. I'd open a drawer and see one of her hair ties and think, maybe she just needed air. Then I'd glance at the wedding photo on the hallway shelf and mutter to myself, she left me like it meant nothing. Then back to denial again. It was exhausting. That afternoon, I logged into our joint bank account. She hadn't touched a thing. But the credit card had a new charge, a $482 payment to a boutique resort in Seaside, Oregon. I looked up the place. Oceanfront. Couples packages. Spa included. The romantic escape. Kind of place that gives you champagne and rose petals when you check in. That broke something inside me. She had the nerve to lie to my face. To leave a coward's note. To walk out of this house while I was sleeping. And then go live a fantasy weekend with a man who once dumped her for another girl at a music festival. A man who cheated on her 3 times that she knew of. A man I'd heard her cry about for years before we got married. And somehow, she still chose him. I pulled out my phone. I didn't text her. I didn't call. Instead, I texted our landlord and asked if we could cut the lease short. I said the relationship had ended and I'd be moving out within the month. He responded fast, "Of course. Just let me know the final date." I stood in our bedroom and looked around. It was still filled with all her little touches. The thrifted mirror, the scent diffuser that made the room smell like eucalyptus and vanilla, the basket of folded blankets we never used. I hated how much of her was still here. I hated how she'd left me in a museum of a marriage she already walked away from. So I grabbed a cardboard box from the closet, and I started emptying drawers. Not hers. Mine. Because I wasn't going to wait for her to come home and explain everything. There was nothing left to explain. She made her choice. Now it was my turn. I was halfway through packing my 4th box when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't in the mood to hear anything. But a few seconds later, I saw the transcript pop up on my screen. It just said, "Hey Brady, I think we need to talk. It's about Sabrina." I stopped breathing. It wasn't her voice. It was someone else. A woman. I hit play. "Hi, this is Aaron. You don't know me, but I work with Sabrina. We're on the same team at the agency. Look, I debated even reaching out, but I saw something today that didn't sit right with me. I know she told people she was going on a retreat. That's not what's happening. I think you deserve to know the truth." I froze. Every nerve in my body went cold. She left her co-workers in the dark, too? That meant she hadn't just lied to me. She'd told everyone a different version of this story. That writing retreat was clearly the cover story she gave at work. I called Erin back immediately. She picked up on the second ring, like she was expecting it. "I'm sorry," she said before I could say anything. "I just couldn't keep quiet. I don't know what's going on between you two, but this isn't what she made it seem like." "Where is she?" I asked. There was a pause, and then, "I don't know where she is right now. But yesterday, before she left, I saw her in the parking garage. She was arguing with a guy, tall, dark coat, sunglasses. He wasn't just a friend. Trust me." She looked guilty, like she'd been caught doing something she wasn't proud of. She saw me and tried to play it off like nothing, but I know that look. She didn't want me to see. My throat was dry. "Do you know who the guy was?" I didn't at first, but I asked someone who's been around longer. "His name's Wyatt, right?" That name, hearing it from someone else's mouth, a complete stranger, made it all real in a way it hadn't been before. I thanked Aaron. I think she felt bad for me. She asked if I was okay. I lied. Of course I lied. After I hung up, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor for a long time. My heart wasn't even beating fast anymore. It was just numb. She lied to everyone. And she was with him. And suddenly, I realized something even worse. She'd planned this whole thing weeks in advance. The calendar block, the fake excuse, the emotional buildup. It wasn't impulsive. It was strategic. And the note she left for me? It wasn't a cry for understanding. It was a shield. Something to hide behind in case I snapped or exposed her. But here's the thing she didn't expect. I wasn't going to rage post online. I wasn't going to blow up her phone or show up begging outside some seaside hotel. That's the kind of drama she feeds off. What I was going to do was disappear. Not physically. Not yet. But when she came home, when she walked through that door thinking she could spin some half-truth, cry a little, maybe even blame me, she was going to find a house empty of love, empty of patience, empty of the man who once bent over backward to protect her from her own recklessness. Because I had a plan now, and it didn't include waiting around to hear another lie. I didn't sleep that night. Not even close. I lay in bed, fully dressed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slow and steady, mocking how calm everything looked on the surface while my entire life was ripping apart underneath. Around 3 a.m., I got up and wandered back to her side of the closet, half expecting her scent to hit me. It didn't. Her perfume wasn't there. Neither was her favorite sweater, or the ankle boots she used to wear every fall. She'd packed for more than a weekend, and I hadn't even realized it until now. That's when I remembered something stupid. Her old laptop. Not the one she used for work. The older one. The personal one I gave her for our 4th anniversary. She stopped using it last year, but I'd seen it still on the shelf in the hallway. She always meant to reset it, and never did. And I knew something she'd probably forgotten. She never changed the password. I don't know what I was looking for. Honestly, I didn't expect to find anything. Maybe I just needed proof, something final, something I could touch that said, yes, she did this. You're not overthinking. You're not crazy. The laptop booted up. Same wallpaper. A blurry photo of us in the mountains. I looked younger. She looked happier. We both looked like strangers now. I clicked on the messaging app. Nothing recent. I clicked through old photos. Harmless. Then I opened her notes app, and I swear my heart almost stopped. There were 5 saved drafts. 4 were grocery lists, ideas for her old blog, a few recipes. The 5th was titled Wyatt. I clicked it, and there it was. A long, disjointed stream of thoughts. Half confession, half love letter. She never sent it. Maybe she never intended to. But she'd written it. And that was enough. She wrote about how she never really let him go. About how sometimes she'd wake up beside me and wonder what would have happened if she'd stayed with him back then. She said I was too safe, too stable, and that a part of her missed the chaos. She wrote that she felt trapped in predictability, and that Wyatt made her feel young again. She even wrote that if I ever found out, I'd probably forgive her, and that scared her more than anything. That line broke me, because she was right. The old me? I probably would have. I sat there for a long time, rereading her words. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. But I didn't. I just felt hollow, like she'd scooped everything out of me and left the shell standing. But when the sun started rising, a new feeling crept in. Clarity. I closed the laptop. I stood up. And for the first time since she left, I stopped thinking about how to survive without her and started thinking about how to live without her. She thought she broke me. She thought I'd be frozen here, waiting for an explanation, for closure, for the next lie to make it all okay again. But instead, I was packing. Not just boxes. I was packing myself out of the version of me she thought would always be hers. I could have blocked her. Could have deleted her number, her socials, vanished from her life like she vanished from mine. But I didn't. I did something worse. I let her see everything. That morning, I posted the first photo in over a year. Me, outside a co-working space downtown, smiling with a coffee in one hand, the keys to my car in the other. No caption, just a location tag. She'd recognize it immediately. She used to complain about how tech bros always worked there. Well, now I was one of them. Except I wasn't trying to look cool. I was trying to send a message. I was building something. Moving forward. Without her, I started deleting joint bills, transferring accounts, calling mutual friends and letting them know, gently but clearly, that we were done. Most of them were shocked. 1 or 2 weren't. One of her old friends, Claire, actually hesitated before saying, "So, she really went back to Wyatt, huh?" That told me everything. People knew. They just didn't want to tell me. They didn't want to be involved. By lunchtime, I'd also set up a consultation with a lawyer. Not for revenge. Not even to get the upper hand. I just wanted a clean break. She'd already made the emotional cut. I was just catching up on the legal part. The retainer went through by 3 p.m. That night, I got my first message from her. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even an explanation. It was just 3 words. "Are you home?" I stared at the screen for a minute before typing back, "Not for you." She didn't respond for an hour. Then finally, "Can we talk?" Oh, now she wanted to talk. Now that the hotel smell was probably still in her clothes. Now that the champagne from their reunion was still on her breath. Now that she'd slept in his arms, smiled at him across a seaside breakfast, laughed at old inside jokes while I packed my life into boxes back home. Now she wanted to talk. I typed, "You already said everything you needed to when you left your ring on the counter." No reply. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I wasn't trying to make her feel bad. I just didn't want her mistaking my silence for hesitation. Because she still didn't understand. She thought she could come back and control the narrative. That we'd cry, maybe fight, maybe scream, and then eventually fall into some messy version of reconciliation. She had no idea how far ahead I was. This wasn't a tantrum. This was an exit. And she was about to see just how final it was. 3 days passed. No calls. No messages. I figured she was giving me space, or maybe Wyatt was keeping her distracted enough to ignore the fallout she left behind. Either way, the silence wasn't peace. It was pressure, and I could feel it tightening around her now, not me. I didn't expect it to come from her job. I got an email from an old mutual contact, Mark, one of the junior partners at the agency where she worked. He wasn't close to either of us, but he was the kind of guy who heard everything and said nothing unless it directly benefited him. The email was short. "Hey Brady, not my business, but thought you should know. Sabrina's leave was flagged. HR's looking into some personal travel issues. You might want to be ahead of it." And just like that, I realized she hadn't told work the truth either. She probably used sick leave, or claimed a family emergency. Either way, someone caught on. Maybe it was Aaron. Maybe someone saw photos. Maybe, ironically, Wyatt slipped and said something to the wrong person. Whatever it was, the story she told was falling apart, and now I wasn't the only one asking questions. By the next morning, her sister messaged me out of nowhere. "Where's Sabrina? She's not answering. Did something happen?" Oh, now her family was in the dark too? I wrote back. "Ask her who she went to Cannon Beach with. Then we can talk." No reply. An hour later, my phone rang. I ignored it. It rang again. And again. Finally, I picked up. Not because I wanted to hear her voice, but because I wanted her to hear mine. Calm. Detached. "Done. Brady," she started, and I could already hear the crack in her voice. "Please, can we talk? I didn't mean for things to go this way." "Too late," I said. "You meant to go?" That was enough. She got defensive fast. "I just needed to figure things out. I didn't think would leave." I cut in. "Yeah, that's the part you never thought through, Sabrina. You thought you could disappear, relive your fantasy, and come back to the man you left waiting. Like I was some fallback plan, some boring little life you could return to after your emotional vacation. It wasn't like that. You left your ring," I said. "You lied to your job. You lied to me. You lied to your family. And for what? For a guy who dumped you at 23 and still wears leather bracelets?" She went quiet. "I'm not mad," I added. "I'm not yelling. I'm just done." And I meant it. I wasn't even shaking anymore. Not like before. I didn't care what excuse she had. I didn't want the timeline, or the justifications, but we didn't do anything until the second night speech. The moment she chose to walk out without the decency of a conversation, that was the moment she buried us. "I want to come home," she finally whispered. "I know," I said, "but you don't live here anymore." And I hung up. The silence after that was the cleanest thing I'd heard in weeks. She showed up the next morning. I didn't see her pull in, but I heard the knock. Hesitant, not desperate yet, just soft enough to suggest hope. I was standing in the kitchen, drinking my last cup of coffee in this house. The boxes were all sealed. The keys were already on the counter. The moving van was due in 20 minutes. I opened the door slowly. There she was. Same coat. Same eyes. Same fake composure cracking at the edges. She looked around the empty living room behind me and blinked twice, like her brain was catching up with reality. You're leaving? I nodded. Told you. If you went, there wouldn't be a home to come back to. Her eyes welled up fast. Brady, I messed up. I let the silence stretch. She needed to hear it. All of it. I don't hate you, Sabrina, I said finally. But I can't keep loving someone who sees me as their safety net. You didn't just cheat on our marriage. You cheated the version of me that believed in us. And I've buried him. She took a step forward. But we built a life together. No, I said. I built it. You were already looking for the exit. She looked down, and that's when I saw it. Not just regret. Fear. Fear that I was really gone this time. That I wasn't bluffing. That I wouldn't unravel the minute she cried. And for once, I didn't. I hope he was worth it, I said gently. Because this is what you traded for him. I walked past her without another word. No screaming. No slamming doors. No dramatic goodbye. Just quiet finality. The kind that doesn't need to be loud to be permanent. And you know what? I didn't look back. Not when she called my name behind me. Not when I heard her voice crack. Not when I heard her break down on the porch we once decorated together. I left. For real this time. That was 6 months ago. I live in a new city now, smaller, brighter. I started my own freelance business. It's still growing, but it's mine. I run in the mornings. I sleep better at night. I laugh again, which is something I hadn't realized I'd stopped doing. And last week, I met someone. Her name is Tessa. She doesn't ask me to be someone I'm not. She doesn't confuse chaos with passion. She just shows up for the right reasons. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm not auditioning to be loved. As for Sabrina, she texted me once. Just one word. Why? I never answered. Because some answers you don't give. You show them. By living well. By healing. By not being theirs anymore.